Right at it. Right at it. Oh,
Jordan
he's
Spieth.
done it again. Just as he did at the John Deere for his first win.
Hello and welcome to episode number 141 of the Go Get That podcast. And today is Monday, February the 24th. And Jordan Spieth plays golf this week. So we are back. But somewhat surprisingly, we were at the Cognizant Classic. We were making our way to Palm Beach, Florida, for what was formerly known as the Honda. And I think we all had the somewhat similar reaction when last Friday, I believe, Mr. Spieth committed well after the field was released in what is some are calling the most alpha move of his most recent 8-year run. But alas, Honda Classic, Cognizant Classic, Spieth's in the field, Fowler's in the field. And I mean, man, I'm excited.
It's funny that it was just changed because someone mentioned to me that if you had told us in 2020 that in 2025 Spieth was playing in the Cognizant Classic, you may have thought his career got quite bad for the next few years because it does not sound like a high-level PGA Tour event, but it is one of those events where it's just a magnificent course that just gets really screwed by the schedule. And it's a course that it could fit Spieth in the right years. It's a course that I'd like to see him play more than once in his career. It's tough with the schedule the way it is because he almost always plays at least most of the Texas events. Which means that the Florida swing has to be a little bit more concise. But it's safe to say that until we get an interview with Mr. Spieth, that we don't really know why he did it. I don't really feel like we need to speculate. I feel like there are a plethora of reasons that it could have been done. But I was saying this when it happened. I really don't see this as a bad thing in any way. My top things that I'm thinking about this is one, he didn't take too long off after the Farmers because he felt like his game was ready to compete less than a week later. 5 days later, he committed to this tournament. The risk can't be too bad because he would have given it more time, easily could have given it more time. It shows initiative. We know he's not in the API, whether he gets a sponsor's exemption or not, we'll see. But it shows that he's at least trying to play his way in and he's caring about the FedEx Cup points, caring about the Ryder Cup, which he's behind because of his last year. It just shows a lot of good. I think that we've talked a lot about in the past where like we don't really know where his mind is at. We don't know what his goals are. But it seems like with this commitment that he's committed to becoming, it told me that he's committed to becoming a top golfer again as soon as possible. And that's a very good thing. And I think that that's the number one thing that I'm excited about, with number 1A being that it can't be, there's nothing poor about the health that we can take from this. So I'm excited. It's a great course. It's a course that fits his sort of 8 to 12 under scoring range that he likes to win at. The weather should be fine all week. It's going to be warm. Again, I think that really any way you look at this, it's a positive, and I'm excited to watch Jordan Spieth play golf this week.
Well summed up. A surprise to our beautiful audience. Didn't see this coming. Friday evening, I was going out to dinner and I see the PGA Tour Com's Twitter account announced that Jordan Spieth, like late entry, has entered the field. And so that resulted in a Instagram post of a screenshot and not a graphic. That's how surprised that was. Um, but yeah, I think Bob summed it up pretty well. A lot of goods to take away. I mean, Dan and I have been going back and forth about this ever since Friday. Just like, why did he do this? Why did he do this? Because I still think it's one of the biggest schedule surprises in recent memory. Um, the only concern that I have, and the more I think about it, I don't think this is the case. So I kind of think a concern could be he's not an API. He knows that, and he's choosing to play in a tournament this week to make sure he can, get into API, even if he'd rather be at home resting another week. But I say that, and I think that's the unlikely case because regardless of whether he was playing in the Cognizant or not, he was going to hit balls this week. He said that on Smiley's show he was going to take last week off regardless, but that he was going to be hitting golf balls, this week, whether it be in a tournament, which it's obviously going to be now, or if it would have been off Matt's home in Dallas. So,
I think I'd like to just touch on your point about the API. I think it's positive. I really do. I know that this may not be. I know a lot of people would be. It's a double-edged sword because if Spieth doesn't get in to the API with a sponsor's exemption, um, it would be blasphemous, frankly, because that would mean Fowler did get in.
yeah,
Fowler getting in over Spieth would be ridiculous. And I've already talked to Ricky Tracker about this. He's baffled that people think that Ricky has a better chance than Spieth to get the exemption. But regardless, I don't
he's
think it's a concern though, because I think that it would be a good thing. Frankly, if he got left at home, I think it would light a fire under him that hasn't been lit in a very long time. And as much as I love the Arnold Palmer Invitational, I would enjoy having him be left at home if he doesn't qualify this week. I think that would be a very good thing for his career.
yeah. My gut's telling me he's playing next week. I actually
Yeah,
I think he's getting an exemption, and I was talking to Dan, I think last night. He's going to play all four events if the wrist feels okay. That's my bold take. I think he's going to start playing a lot of golf. And I think part of the reason he committed to play this week, and more than anything, he was not happy with how Torrey went. And I think he really wants to flush it out ASAP, and this week's a chance. At a Florida, I mean, he plays well in Florida besides Sawgrass pretty much. But yeah, that's kind of my bold take. I think he'll be playing API, and I think as long as the wrist feels okay after the 3 weeks, he's going to play Valspar too. That's the
I don't think
bold
it's
take.
that I don't think it's that bold at all actually, because I think that Dan and I talked about this last episode. He may have gone into the season being like, 3 weeks in a row just isn't going to happen. And Dan gave us that rundown of what that could have looked like. And by committing here, he's fully prepared to play 3 weeks. So I don't know why, if the wrist is feeling okay, he wouldn't play Valspar. I don't think he's going to Houston. I just don't
No.
see it happening. Um, and I think that all of these events are fairly warm weather. I think he truly is optimistic about the wrist, and I think right now the Valspar getting into API or not getting into API is well greater than 50% chance to be played. Um, and I think that that's a really exciting thing because I'd love to see him play that 4 week stretch every year. And it's tough because you'd really have to go 4 week off three. Seven and eight is tough. But I mean it's certainly doable. It certainly is doable, and it would be a lot of golf because that would actually end up being 10 and 12. But again, it's not like he's going to be if the wrist feels good, he's not going to be taking many weeks off anyways the rest of his career. Like he's here too. I mean, he's a full-time PGA Tour golfer. People do it all the time. But I do think right now it's well over 50% chance that he plays Valspar, and it's definitely for certain if he doesn't play next week.
Yeah. This is I think what I found the most interesting about it was the kind of 4 week predicament of, man, you made it 2.5 in your first kind of go around and it didn't end very well. But I think again, and Bob kind of touched on this, the like competitive spark, and I guess Jordan touched on it too, the idea that, man, last time was trash and I'm better than that. And I have been sitting around all fall not playing golf, and now I can. And because maybe he doesn't even get into API next week for whatever reason, but then this tournament's here, and then players and Valspar's for sure, right? So there's the reps that you kind of need to get leading into the Masters, which we don't have to go there yet. But I think at this point, a lot of it too is just, if I'm gonna hit golf balls anyway, I might as well practice on PGA Tour events. Like that seems to be
That
the
seems like
most
where he's going.
reasonable, uh or just like that's what makes the most sense in my head as to why this occurs. And I think he wouldn't commit if the wrist didn't feel good. But honestly, I think the wrist probably felt fine by Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like I think that's just it's always gonna be getting better at recovering unless
Uh,
it goes through and kind of a relapse, or that's not the right word, a re-tear, whatever it might be. But that I'm sh sure it probably felt fine by Wednesday and took some time to kind of reset. But I mean, like Jordan said at the beginning, and kind of, I guess, in summary of what I've basically been rambling about here the past few minutes, like, you might as well just go play if you're gonna hit. Like the time for practice was the few weeks leading into Pebble, and you can fix things on the fly a little bit, right? Like if you know what you're working on, go work on it on at the Honda range, and then go play some rounds. That makes sense to me, and I'm glad that that is the strategy at this point. Um, because
yeah.
I just said I didn't want to get into Masters talk, but he's not close to winning the Masters right now. Like,
No, he's not.
and then that is like
And
the
I think he
ultimate
knows it.
goal, right?
I think he
So,
knows
Yeah.
it. I think he looks at this week. I think it's very possible, and the more I've thought about it, the more I've sort of realized that it's very possible this decision was purely made out of, I'm not close to winning the Masters and I need multiple events to get there. And that's a very real possibility. And I think another thing is, I, we talk about this all the time. There are courses that Spieth just doesn't like to play. He doesn't like to play Farmers. He doesn't like to play Sawgrass. He goes into those courses with other mentalities. I think he was probably sitting at home early this week, Monday or Tuesday, and was thinking, am I really going to go? Am I going to play two of the next 3 weeks with only two courses that I play well at? Um, and I think I think he wants to give himself as many opportunities to win. I think he wants to win again. And I think that unfortunate as it is, I think he definitely looks at Sawgrass as an uphill battle. I don't think he goes into Sawgrass. Um,
what makes you say that?
I think it's just the way he plays courses that he hasn't played in the past. He plays very tentative at the start, and then when one bad thing goes, it all kind of goes. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. It happens. It happened at Farmers every year. It happened this year. He was even through seven, playing very okay golf, hanging in there. One thing went bad, the week went to shit. That's just a pattern that happens at courses he doesn't historically play well at. And I think he wants to give himself more chances to win.
Yeah. I think part of that too, though, is the more chances to win because it's important to taste contention, knock on that door, etc. But also, I think Jordan, I don't know if we were just texting or we said this or he said it on here, but like hitting golf shots that are required to win at places like Augusta National. Like I don't think that Spieth has close to enough shots in the bag that, forget the mechanics, but like the actual shots, the placement, the trust and the trajectory, hitting all nine windows, hitting, the fades, the draws, the um having the precision to start it at
Making the
that
putts.
tower, making the putt. No, exactly. The
A whole
putts,
other
the
story.
the flops, the bump and run, like the whole thing. The whole thing just needs work and reps and practice. And I think that's, you know,
It's funny you say that because we talked about this in chat the other day about like how much harder it actually is to win the Masters versus like an API or the players. I just think there's three, four shots around at majors, excluding the PGA on certain courses that need to be that much better than you need to win regular events. I think you need three, four shots around to be just a little bit better to win majors. And I think that you're right. You can't afford he doesn't have those shots in the bag. You can't afford some of the swings that he has in the bag right now. I think that there's a lot of good there. There's certainly more good there than there was last year. But
yeah.
I think the putts even more to me. I think he stood over I think he stood over a lot of putts in Phoenix, even though he putted fine there. He putted well there, actually. I think he stood over a lot of putts in Phoenix intention and just it felt new to him. It'd been a long time since he'd been in contention. I think he wants more reps in contention before the Masters.
Absolutely.
Um,
I mean, he
I
said back at
I
Pebble his goal was to contend once at least,
yeah.
and he's going to have
I,
what,
I
four
think
to five more chances.
I think that he doesn't. I feel like he thinks if he shows up on Sunday, one back at the Masters, the way he's feeling right now isn't how he wants to be feeling then. And I think all of these things contribute to the decision. I don't know whether it's one or the other. Um, the more I've thought about it, I know Jordan and I were basically on the same page that when it first came out, we thought that him not being an API was the only way. The more I've thought about it, I just can't fathom him not getting a sponsor's exemption. I really can't. I just don't see how. I just don't see how it would happen. I would be fully shocked, more shocked than I was about this commitment if he didn't get that sponsor's exemption. I'm not saying I wouldn't like it, but I'd be shocked.
Yeah, no, it'd be shocking. I think he's going to get it. Yeah, I think just more contention reps. I was actually pretty impressed with how he played over the weekend in Phoenix. He didn't play great, but he played like okay golf to where he didn't win because another guy just went off. I mean, we just watched the Mexico Open over the weekend where the leaders in the final group were just stagnant. Spieth wasn't stagnant. He just, there was one guy that had to be, losing strokes to the field over the weekend to give Spieth the chance. It's not like Spieth played poorly, but yeah, he just needs to get into contention more. I mean, Phoenix was the first time since what century of last year. And yeah, I think a Florida course was a great idea. Speaking of the scheduling, I'm saying my, boldish take is that he plays four in a row here if the wrist allows. It wouldn't shock me if he skipped the Heritage this year, honestly. If he
Yeah.
plays,
Wow.
four in a row and then the Master, like,
Is
does
that
he
a
need to play the
signature though?
Heritage? It is a signature.
Well,
Um,
so I
but I
guess
think
maybe he
his
doesn't get an invite.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting an invite. But I guess my point is, I think we're kind of all in agreement that the goal right now is to, get ready for Augusta. And I think Bob kind of said it. One of the reasons he's playing this week is, exactly for that. We're looking way down the road, obviously. But it's going to be interesting to see how these next 4 weeks play out in terms of how many of the weeks he ends up playing.
So
I agree. I think that quickly I do agree that of the seven, of the next 8 weeks, Heritage is probably the most likely he skips. I think if he gets through with the Masters and he's completely tired and his wrist isn't feeling well, that's the one he
Yeah.
takes off. I don't see him, unless he's hurt, bailing on one of these next events before the Masters. I think right now his mind ends at the Masters right now. And I think that is the goal. And if Heritage doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
I think
Yeah.
that's fair. I was just trying to look up the schedule for after the Heritage
There's a good amount of
because
time off for him usually
It's like
then.
it's the dead time of the year.
it would be Zurich and then Ranch. Um, so it would probably be after the Masters. If you played the Heritage, it'd only be 1 week off maybe before back at Ranch. Um, and then there's another signature event, the Truist Championship, in Philly, which is kind of cool. But
The cricket club.
yeah, the cricket club. So the summer kind of gets moving.
It does.
And I mean, this is just kind of how it goes every year. You end up at once you get to the Masters, you're kind of at the Open before you snap your fingers. I don't want to you know, put this out in the universe, but what if hypothetically he's playing this week because one of the next 3 weeks there is a external commitment to some other event that maybe will prohibit him from playing golf that week.
That's happened before.
That's what I'm saying.
He
I mean, like is you know,
wasn't it the 22 Valspar that he wanted to
I think it
play
was 20, it
Yeah.
was a 22 Palmer.
I'm trying to think
his
no.
his brother was getting married, I want to say
But
maybe.
It was
what could it be?
it was the API
It was the
22.
API, not
I don't think it was the API.
I feel
No,
it was
because
the Valspar.
he went T4, skip T4. And we were like, well, why do you ever skip the API? I promise you it was the API in 22.
I
It's
believe you.
not ridiculous. I just feel like
Yeah. No, I'm throwing it out there because it's kind of funny because I remember him skipping
yeah, I
an
just don't know
API.
what it would be. Like, what would be that important?
I don't know. I mean, we haven't even talked since I mean,
Maybe, that's
kind of
July,
alluded to it, but
which
he's got
is
another kid on the way in July, which if that
that's
thing
troublesome.
if
It's trouble.
the next little Spieth pops out during the Open, oh boy.
It would
That
be a quick withdrawal,
that
frankly.
it would yeah, the quickest of withdrawals.
I think you got to stay in line and play the golf tournament. You've had two already. I mean,
Just have the kid born in
well, she'd stay
why am I
home.
why
I
am
mean,
I
I don't
blanking
want to
I'd
get into
on
argue it
kids
would
and
be
reasons, but
oh yeah, they can't fly. That is true.
true. That no, he would stay home. He
I don't
wouldn't
know.
go. That's why that thing's got to come out
I don't want to
early
go down that
July.
road, then. I don't want to say something I shouldn't say. But yeah, I think we look ahead
This
at the
is quite
schedule.
the topic is quite sensitive.
Yeah, I think we look at the schedule up to the Masters and even Heritage, and I think there's really only one tournament that's not happening, and that's going to be Houston. He ain't playing there.
I'd agree.
And then everything else, it seems, has a chance at the moment, which is kind of fun because we're so used to like status
No,
quo,
Well,
he never really, yeah, he never really strays from it.
and then this
yeah.
year we got the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches.
Yeah. I mean, I know he's one on the Smiley Show, made no mention, which actually, by the way, really good podcast. If
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
haven't listened to it, it's basically like what we would want to know after every swing. It's like, here's how I played. Here's when I'm hitting a pinch cut with my driver and my long irons, I can play good golf. So now when we watch and we see pinch cuts out of those clubs, you got to feel like this is going well, right? Like that was cool information to have dug up. But he made zero mention of the Cognizant and he made mention of the Valspar.
Really weird.
Um and if he gets into API, uh, I don't know. I agree that it'd be cool to see him play four, but it kind of makes me wonder if there's just no Valspar. Like I
No,
still
here's my thing. That's why I thought that originally it had to be he wasn't in the API because he was very open in talking about his schedule. It's not like he was trying to hide it.
no.
And this was recorded Monday, and you just have to think that there's no way it wasn't even on
Well,
his
I
mind.
think this guarantees that he plays three of the next four.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that
Yeah.
was because the worst case was, I mean, assuming health, right? The worst case was doesn't play this week. API says, ha 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 ha, screw you. And then he's at the players, and then it's a Valspar. And you've got
That was, yeah.
you've got the players where you've missed the cut probably half the time you've been there.
I don't feel like that happens on tour. Like there's no way you're
Oh,
sitting
yeah.
five days before the commitment without it even being in your mind. It had to be in his mind somewhere, and he just didn't mention it.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe because he's like, oh, yeah, I'll be at API. And I think
Yeah, I
maybe
think
API heard that and was like, are you sure about that? Like,
that's why I thought API originally. Maybe it was as simple as this. Maybe it was that someone told him we don't know. Maybe it was just that.
yeah. Well, and
Maybe
then, like I
maybe they just
said,
said we can't give you the exemption right now. You may
right.
still get it, and he didn't want to take a chance.
Right. Well, and then
Oh,
Honda guarantees three or four.
yeah,
Because if imagine if he played neither of these for whatever reason, and
it
you
would be
it's
a
another
rough
MC
day
at
as
the
it's soccer.
players, and then you just missed the cut at Valspar last year. It's not like that's a guaranteed 4 rounds. And then you're going into San Antonio having played 14 rounds this season prior
Well,
to
we
Augusta.
would dial up Houston then.
Well, you would hope so,
Fire
but
up the damn jet, baby.
I mean that like that I think it's the prudent play. It's getting out
Yep.
ahead of some things. It's looking at the analytics and it's saying I should play this week.
Yeah,
And
but I think that
I hope he's proud of
realization.
his commitment, actually.
I really am too. But I think that realization came after the Smiley podcast recording. I really do.
Yeah, or
I
maybe
just
he
think
just
he would have mentioned it.
forgot. Maybe he just forgot.
I don't
He
know.
just
The way
forgot.
But he doesn't
he
seem
did
like the
not
type to
forget.
forget. That's
He
fair.
either kept it in the bag to
Or may-
surprise us,
yeah.
or
Or he lost a bet or something like that. It's like, oh, you lost. It was a fantasy football punishment, actually, is he's got to go play at the Cog.
that's it's.
Sorry,
We don't know, so
that's a low
who
blow
knows?
for the
But
Cog Classic.
I do think it. We obviously have gone down all the roads, but this is a it's going to be a really fun week. I mean, this is a really fun golf course to watch players play 18 holes at it. It's one of
Yeah.
the only events Spieth doesn't play that's not a big event that I watch every year,
We've been
usually on
hoping that
Thursday.
he would tee it up here. We've said
Yeah.
it in years
This
past.
is
We hope he'd
this is
play
an
here
event that
sometime.
on Thursday morning, I love to tune into ESPN Plus in the background and watch players trying like this is a great golf course. And um it's a course that again it fits his winter range. It's you do have to have very committed swings in the bag. And maybe that's part of the reason he committed. Maybe he wanted a course that demanded that. This course, there are very specific misses that you cannot have. And it's bright and blue. And it's on almost every hole in the golf course. And
Yeah.
it demands committed swings. And maybe he's trying to work on that. Maybe he's trying to get more committed swing practice. I mean, you can't practice committed swings at in Dallas. Like
Yeah,
you just can't do that on the range.
the
Yeah, that's
Trinity
Trinity
Forest
Forest.
Ranch,
Yes.
those blue sticks out in the distance. No,
Yeah.
it's I mean, we'll see. The weather, it rained all day today. It should be good the rest of the week. The wind's not really going to be up. So we'll see what the winter gets to by week's end. But um No, it is a fun event. It's a good golf course. Partly just I mean there's a few the Bear Trap obviously comes to mind. That'll challenge the mid to long irons kind of late in the rounds.
Rawr.
But it's also fun. We get that kind of early tee time again. Um, Fun to see like
Yeah,
wake
Bob.
up at 7:15 and see a
For
Tosti
yourself.
through three.
5:15.
It's like
I enjoy it though. I do. I like the early morning tea times because I can always get out ahead of my day.
well, yeah, and
Um,
he's done by 11:30 or whatever for us
Yeah,
on the East Coast, and I
I
mean not East Coast, but Eastern Standard Time.
yeah, no,
Um,
yeah, and I it's the only thing it prohibits me from doing really is it's just can't do anything the night before. But it's great. I feel very productive when I'm up at that hour. So and I get up pretty early here anyways. But I love it. I really am not bothered by it. I think one of you guys were talking about the Masters early tea time, and Ellis
friend
said
of the
something.
program. Friend of the program.
I think he said, "Is that like 3 o'clock for you, Bob?" But like
oh, Bob, you're usually up for the ceremonial first tee
absolutely,
balls. Yeah.
I will be up again, and
Yeah.
the Mountain Standard Time didn't didn't change that.
It's
Yeah.
tradition.
It
Chat
is a
It's
tradition.
tradition, man.
it's
I mean, it's funny how kind of close but far we are from the Masters. Like
we're
it's 6 weeks.
we're close.
And there's still a whole lot to be kind of sorted out. I think you kind of know who the favorite is at Augusta, but it's
Don't
not
mention them.
like
Don't mention
it's not that the door is open for somebody to kind of thrust their way into that spotlight. Obviously, it would take some incredible golf over the next 3 weeks, but or 4, 6 weeks. But you know, that's that's why you play the game. It's to have
I
moments
mean,
like that.
6 Mondays ago, we were a week out for my first podcast of the year. Like we're almost halfway since the start of the season. So,
breezing through.
like it's close. To answer your question, Dan, or whatever you were
Uh,
posing. It's
well, no,
close.
it's just it feels like there's still a lot to
Oh,
uncover in a
absolutely. Well, there's a
short
lot
amount
more
of
golf.
time to kind of figure it out. But each day is gonna bring something that's kind of new and worth taking something from.
You
I
look at
hope.
the way that the season's gone so far, and how Spieth-esque it's just been. From I mean just all the way up and down. From sore wrist first week from a bunker shot locking up to being the second favorite on Sunday going into Sunday. I mean it's been a roller coaster. It's you'd expect nothing less, but there's you're right. There's a lot more of that ride to go before we get to Augusta. And I think that this week is gonna be a positive. I really do.
He's played
I
10
hope so
rounds this
too.
year, so we should double that and some before Augusta. I haven't even
Yeah,
thought
I
of
hope so.
Augusta. I saw a tweet on Twitter. You know it's getting close when someone spotted that they were putting up the bleachers on the
Oh,
property, but like I'm just ready for this week. It's not like we're Scheffler fans and we're like, yeah, he'll be in the mix at Augusta. Like he's got to work his way to
He does. Well
getting
well,
there.
said.
yeah, and I think that's why it's interesting. Like there is opportunity to get there, but it's also uh time to get the rear in gear in that sense. It's time to put the car in drive sport mode and
He's
get
in
this
neutral
thing
right
rolling.
now. He's in neutral.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's interesting. He ended up in neutral. And he was in reverse and then figured out how to switch it to drive and threw it at 100
Yeah.
miles an hour, and
So he
then
somehow got from
promptly
reverse.
threw on the emergency brake and then
He
somehow flipped it back to neutral.
he's kind of like going through like a roundabout right now. Like he's kind of yielding to traffic. He's not going full speed. He's like, I'll go when I'm ready, if you get what I'm trying to say.
And he's ready. That
Well,
engine
hopefully Ready is this week.
is purring. Do you think McCormick is flying down to site this week?
Is Mr. Lipsky playing this week?
Possibly. I know.
Yes, he was. He is.
I think straight vibing is as well. Probably right.
Yes.
So
Does he still work with?
I don't know if they're still together or
I
not,
was gonna
but
say he's definitely working with someone new. I forgot who I saw him with at the voice management, but he's working
yeah,
with someone else too.
I would assume McCormick's there.
He'll be there.
He probably just rented a house for a month. I mean, so it's Palm Beach and then it's
Orlando,
Orlando and then Jacksonville and then back to
Tampa.
Tampa. So
Tampa is the Cognizant.
yeah. Ugh.
Inside joke for the viewer. Um, I actually, so it's funny. We were talking, and I was like, he's gonna play well next time we see him. I still think he's gonna play well this week. I don't. It's Bermuda grass, so not a whole lot of worries with the putter. Well, I mean, I'm always worried about the putter, but it's not POA. So from the surface perspective, there's no issues. He just finds a way to play well in the state too, besides tall grass. I I'm actually curious as to how different this course is compared to a Valspar. I'd have to look. Um, but I don't think this place fits him as well as it definitely doesn't fit him as well as API does. I don't when I was doing like my modeling and my like who I'm gonna pick for my for our triple double this week, Spieth was never in the conversation. I don't think it's funny because his short game hasn't really been like great for a little while, but like this place this week, I don't think stresses short game like API does. So yeah, in my search, it's iron play, iron play, iron play. And if he irons it like he did at Phoenix, it could be a really fun week because
Yeah.
it's actually a really good tune-up. I think I don't know if you said it, Bob, or Dan said it, but it's like you got to hit like the precision shots, and this place calls for precision iron shots. Um, and yeah, we've been calling for him to play this event for a few years now, so it's kind of nice to see it coming true finally.
So I just looked up on Data Golf, and I'm trying to find his name in the course fit tool.
He was down
And
there for me.
I might have to, yeah.
The
Look
problem
again.
is his current game isn't like good on there. So it's like what's going to fit a player who's 96th by their rankings.
Right. Yeah, that's well said. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's a negative course fit in
There he
theory.
is. There he is.
Uh, he's actually like it's funny. He's only very slightly negative. Um, but he's negative in everything. So across the board, they think his game does not
Oh,
translate here. Uh, the course similarity, it's kind of a wacky one, actually, that fits it the best. Any guesses without looking?
I was actually looking at that tool earlier. I don't use it that
Are they
much, but
not?
it's a weird. I remember the courses I was looking at. It was weird.
It's very weird. Like I mean, it's
Was it
not, you just
Renaissance
wouldn't think
Club?
of it. It was.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's across the pond, Scotland. You don't really think that that's how, um,
Has seen Mr. Spieth play well. So
yeah, I mean, he's been relevant there before.
very relevant.
I
I mean, he
mean,
was very
Ranch
much
is
in
10th.
contention with a few holes to go there.
Yeah, and then he snap hooked a
Well,
7-iron into the shit and made it
no, he snap hooked like a wedge on the par three. No, he
Yeah.
like missed.
it
Yeah,
was something, yeah. It was like
he missed the
160 yard
wedge
hole
like
that I'm looking
40
for.
yards left from 110.
Yeah. Detroit
I
Golf
remember
Club
that.
comes in at fifth. So, I
Detroit,
mean,
Interesting.
yeah, it's
represent.
looking at some of these, it's pretty interesting actually. Like Nine Bridges, Riviera is ninth. That makes a little bit of sense to me.
I could see
Um,
Riviera
I
more
think
than Scotland.
it's more like we'll have to just see because it's gonna get firmer as the week goes on too, which I think is fun.
It's a it's a course that demands mid to long iron play.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you gotta be on your game. Maybe we can take a look
We
at the predicted shot distance
yeah.
and
I mean, yeah, unfortunately, I was saying this morning. This course requires professional golf shots, which could
uh
be, it could like you have to be very precise in your misses.
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of shots from 150 to 200. That's
If
the
you
main.
have, it's a course that also demands you to take advantage of good misses. Like Spieth has struggled with that. It's why he struggled on hard par fours. If you have a bad shot that misses in the right place and you have a 40-foot straightforward chip, you can't bogey from there because you're going to have worse misses than that where you can't make par. So you have to get those balls up and down. And he's struggled with that. He obviously has the magic and the rabbit that he pulls out of the hat from a lot of places around the greens, but the straightforward like from 210 yards, you're gonna miss greens, and if you're missing them in the right places, you gotta get those balls up and down.
Yeah. No, you're gonna be fed a bogey or two this week for
Yeah,
sure. And that's very tough and it's very fair. That's how all golf courses should be. Uh, but I mean, it's also like we talk about contention and stuff like that. You're just looking at the names in this field, like it's a good week to
Uh,
kind of get yourself up there and see what happens. You know, we talk about watching Campbell and uh Aldrich battle in Mexico. Uh like I mean there's some better names here. But I don't really want to call anybody out. And how is Webb Simpson in the field? It's crazy. But
I
you
was
know,
watching the 2012 broadcast the other night when Mr. Spieth low amped.
ah,
Yes,
I
congrats
didn't realize
on
was
that.
it Campbell?
one of his
Campbell
better
low
U.S.
am
Open appearances.
Yeah.
yeah. Campbell low ammed at Chambers.
Yes.
So
That's
maybe it's just that time. Like maybe we're turning the clock back to 2015.
I was thinking about that. Like there were a lot of people who watched that final round yesterday, which is really incredible for the field. Like I bet that round did pretty good numbers wise. Like for some reason it was felt like everyone on golf Twitter that just doesn't watch the Cognizant Classics when Spieth isn't playing was watching the Mexico Open finish. Which partly is because it was close, but it was interesting. I think a lot of people were really I think Aldrich and Campbell were a really odd but
Uh,
worked.
Yeah.
Because Aldrich is someone who you just kind of want to watch because it's just ridiculous. Like he swings it just so hard. And then Campbell is just a really cool story. Um,
Yeah.
but really cool. I watched a lot of things because I was sweating out Jaeger with Elise. But I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, that was well, yeah, pathetic. But regardless, it was really cool to see a guy whose absolute strength, it's been his strength his entire golf career, be driving accuracy at a course which requires no driving accuracy at all, probably the least driving accuracy demanded course on tour. You can hit it anywhere there. It's all distance. And he went head to head with the number one ball speed player on tour and beat him. It was really cool. I really enjoyed that watch. It was fantastic.
It was a fun kind of juxtaposition. And then
It's refreshing to not have Scheffler every week.
right. And it wasn't, I wouldn't say fitting's the right word, but I appreciated Campbell getting the bounce on the
I
second
agree.
playoff hole.
I agree.
Like Pot. I'll just call him Pot. He's gonna win.
Yeah, he'll win.
Okay, that's
He'll win
probably
at very specific courses.
Campbell, like that's all. That's it.
He'll never play
Probably.
that well again in his life.
Like that just gave Campbell. He just made more than he had made in his entire career, and tour security through 2027. He's got his card longer than Spieth.
It's
Like,
life changing. I mean, he
and
was
he'll get into these signature events, and if he finishes 78th, he still makes 30 grand. Like that was
my
huge.
my friend did the sort of did like ballpark math. If you look at his career um earnings over 11 years being a pro, you're averaging about 1 million a year, which isn't bad. But you also have to realize how expensive that lifestyle is. You're traveling every week, paying your caddy. Like he really was making like mid five figures. And now he is set for life with that win. Just purely on he has to make a few cuts to make a few hundred grand at some certain events
Yeah.
for the
Well,
next 3 years.
and he's got access to the next 2 seasons. Like,
Yeah, and he has 2 seasons to play in these
pick your
events.
schedule, like the whole
Yeah.
thing. He's going to the
It's
Masters
just
this
really
year.
cool. It really is.
This field's actually a little bit better than I thought. Now that I'm looking at it,
It's
yeah,
always been okay. It's just never had
Henley,
any superstars ever really play it.
McCarthy, Straka, Glover, Berger, Lowry, Harmon, Bez, I've
Kisner.
Spieth, Flowery.
Kisner is in the field now.
Kisner is in the field. Zach Johnson, the Bow Show, Michael Kim playing good golf.
Yes.
Chan Kim. I don't know how well he's playing golf.
Thanks
Playing
for
good.
that.
Thorbjorn Olesen, Clanton, Eric Cole, probably a T12 out of him. Pavon, Ale Mathieu in the field.
Very
Rosner,
confident Russell Henley top 10, like T9 this week.
yeah. There's 3 Frenchmen in the field this week. That's cool. Johnny
Headlined by
Vegas.
Pavone.
Yes,
You're getting
Pavon.
into the depth of the field right here, Dan.
Yeah, and then you've got Cristobal del Solar
I believe he missed the cut last week.
and my good friend Ben Polland. Never
Who?
heard of him before. Let's go figure out who he is. It's a
Vincent
34-year-old.
Norman rounds out the odds board.
I'm not sure how
Thanks for that.
I'm not sure how Ben Polland is in the field. He's played in he's played in 3 majors and the Sony Open.
Yeah, he's last in my model. Last.
He has
Last.
one top 15 in his career on the Corn Ferry.
Kisner's third to last.
Yeah,
Don't sleep on Kisner this week.
It'll be
Come
I
on.
think it'll be an uphill battle. Like
Kisner was showing signs at the SoFi Center.
come on,
Kisner's
Wisconsin.
playing tomorrow.
He actually played pretty well.
Kisner's
Kisner-
playing tomorrow, and then he's gonna show up Wednesday to the Honda.
Kisner has reached the point where you go on his data golf page and there's not even a ranking given.
Oh my God.
He's entered rough territory. But I think with that, do we get into triple double?
Yes.
You're the new leader, Bob. So why don't you go first?
I didn't want to toot my own horn, but I was off to a slow start, and just like that, that's why this game is so great. You can really make up ground quickly with an outright and a good week. My week was made by 2 top tens. So
Yeah.
no, both were very feeble top tens. And both probably should have won the event by 6. But I'm gonna go with I am an Elise merchant. I'm a proud and loud and proud Elise merchant. And I'm going with her first click of the week because I know for a fact that I will never use this guy again the rest of the year. That's Mr. Novak. I believe his first name's Andrew,
It is.
but could be wrong. Could be Ben. I feel like Ben Novak exists somewhere. But so him, I mean, he's not a bad golfer. I see him on leaderboards all the time.
No,
He's what? It's like 40 to 1. Yeah, he definitely could win.
he's underrated in my
Absolutely.
ogre. He's 77th in the ogre and 58th in data golf rankings.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Yeah. I'm also gonna go with Ben Griffin. Um,
Ah,
Ben
Griffin's a good
Griffin looked very good last week from long range, hitting a lot of very good 5 and 6 irons. He's not a very long hitter, and he made his way around that course pretty well. And I was very happy with what I've seen. He's a great bet this week. Definitely be on Leeson's card. He'll definitely be on mine. Now I'm going with Straka purely because I think
Great bet.
I like him at the top of the board. I mentioned him to Elise at the start of the week. I'm like, are we going to take Straka? Are we going to
He's
take Lowry?
high T player.
He's an IT player, but I think he's here. I think he's here in his. I think he peaked for the season, and I want to catch him before
He's
he's
already
down.
got one win. Yeah,
Yes, but I think
I like
he's
the
on
play.
the train. I think he's on the train down. I just don't think the field's good enough for him to miss the cut this week. I think he's too good of a ball striker. I just think that worst case he gets me a few grand and we move on.
Yeah,
But I think he might have a little bit of a downturn coming. Um, he's definitely one of the names that could win this week, and I'd rather get him because I haven't used him yet. I'd rather get him before he hits that bedrock for the year, which I'm predicting. But yeah, so those are my three. Feeling very good actually about where I stand. I feel like I have a lot of players left, and I've gotten a lot of players. I think the only one is Ludwig, but I took advantage of my Ludwig use, so it's whatever. But I think I've
yeah.
got a lot of players. I think a lot of my better players I've got at the best part of their season. So I'm feeling very good about where I stand in the triple double.
You should. That's very well said. The third place holder, which is me right now. I'll go. I am. You guys. Well, Bob's at 5.3 million. Dan's at 5 million. I'm at 3.9, and Elise is at 2.9. So we're all within striking distance. So my top name, I'm going with Lowry. I think this week there's Henley, Lowry, Straka, top three. You can have them whatever order you want, but that's the top three in the field. Going Lowry solely because I've used Henley and Straka once already. So use a different name, haven't used Lowry yet. So I'm going to go with him. Also going to go Lucas Glover, another guy I have not used yet. I think he's definitely a tier two below top three I just gave, but he's got some decent course history here. He's played here like 20 times. Has he? Or at the Cognizant? I was looking at Valspar, so maybe he hasn't played here that much. Um, wow, he's played a lot of events. Yeah, he's played pretty well here. 20 times. Good iron player. He's lost in his last two events, so that kind of worries me. But is what it is. And then third pick, I am going with the fan favorite at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, Joel Damon. Um,
Played
he's
very well
playing.
last week.
Yes, he's got two top tens in his last three, and I love the course fit this week. We were in our one of our group chats, and I was throwing out a long shot, and he's the long shot. He's 120 to 1, with two top tens in his last three. So honestly, Glover's probably my least favorite pick of the three, but I want to see Damon play well because Damon's like the one that's like most of the times, just because of the way the format is, we go chalk quite a bit. Damon's a long shot, so I kind of just want to see him play well and prove myself correct.
the solid three. I been kind of scrambling for my three here, but I think I've got some guys that I like. Is somebody in the sheet though? Can they write these down
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me?
Are you
Perfect.
going Ben Griffin?
I I really wanted to, but
He's a good bet outright, 45 to 1.
I'm gonna put Nikolai Højgaard on there. Um
Interesting.
and yeah, there's not a whole lot behind that other than He's gained on over. He's a good ball striker as of late. Played pretty well in Mexico. Kind of just feels like a guy that's due to pop. Um, and he doesn't win really, but he's kind of he's got those weeks and he plays well. Like when he plays well, he plays pretty well. So Højgaard feels like a decent and he's not a terrible course fit either. So going Højgaard. Uh and then where did he go? I was definitely not Jordan Spieth. I think I was gonna play Russell Henley. Uh but even he's been kind of quiet this year. I guess the T5 at Pebble, but he's played well here at the Honda, like old Russell Henley. So yeah, I'll take some Russell Henley this week. He's putted
I was
well
thinking about it. I
I
all
just
love
think
year.
that.
I think he's too valuable to use in this low a purse.
Interesting.
I think at the right course, he's like a guarantee to get you six figures.
That's
And
fair. He's a great course fit though. Like I mean, not
he
according
is,
to
but
data
like, what
golf
does a
for one
top 10
reason.
even get you with this purse? It can't be that much.
It's probably 200-ish. I don't know if but I think he's got some winning upside though. He's won here before. He won here in 2014. Um, you know,
That
I
is
think that'd be
moons
cool.
ago.
That'd be cool if each of us had one of the big three this week, in my opinion. I mean, I think they're
yeah.
the top three in the field without a doubt.
Yeah, I really like Berger this week, but I still think he's a little bit further. I think he's a little. I think he's like Spieth. I think he's a little bit further away from a win than some of these other guys, but I think he's a good bet to play well.
Oh, I didn't even think about Burger. I think I might just take Burger this week too.
Ooh,
Uh,
All
because
right, I'll gamble. I like that one.
watching him play in Phoenix, man. Like I think he's just kind of ready. I don't know. It might be early, but I think he's healthy. He's playing well. He's played well here before, so I think I might switch out Henley. Because I did have, and I apologize that I'm doing this so
no, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're a
kind of
working man.
on the fly here. Definitely not picking Frankie Capon the third, but maybe in a future week. There was somebody else that I was looking at. It might be Grazerman, but I don't think I really want to go there now. Um, is it Adam Schenk season? Seems unlikely. Maybe
I do
Mr.
not think
Woodland.
so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I was looking at Pavon as well, but he has
He's
not played very good
he's
golf.
been
He is
terrible.
severely overrated, according to the kind of logic there. Um,
I mean, he's been terrible since the U.S. Open.
yeah. And I really want to play Chris Kirk, but he's also been garbage. So
This is a Chris Kirk type of week.
yeah, it could be, but his data golf page is not pretty.
Wow. I mean, you think Spieth's a bad putter? Holy moly.
Yeah, Chris Kirk is
He's lost in 12 of
struggling
13 with the putter.
to say the least. Oh, you know where I was gonna go? Actually, no, I wasn't gonna go there because he hasn't. Michael Kim has been playing good golf, and I think he could win at some point. But he plays every week, and his iron play has gone down the last 3 weeks. So I'm not sure
Face
that
every
that's
week.
the place to go. Um,
I don't. I like Michael Kim. I He just doesn't strike me as someone who's going to win this year, though.
Are you
yeah, but
calling
it's
him a
kind of like
loser?
when else are you gonna use him?
No, but I don't think he's a. How old is he?
31. He's Spieth's age.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that change your opinion? He actually
No,
has one on tour. I mean,
I
he
don't know.
won.
I do like him a lot, though. He's a funny guy too. He's pretty good to the media too. He was pretty good at waste management. He gave us a lot of time, but
He's the
I
exact same age as Spieth. They're both 31 in 7 months.
I'll say this. I'd love to see Michael Kim win this year. I don't think his game fits many courses.
Yeah, the big loopy draw is not I mean he's played well, obviously. I think if
Yeah.
you play well, you can doesn't really matter what you play. But it's certainly not being able to hit a cut at some of these tracks is like,
My course
jeez.
fit for him is like average. Speaking of my little model, where do you guys think Spieth is?
I'm gonna say below average.
Well, course fit, yeah, he's slightly, but like where, like overall, what number do you think he is?
Oh,
Like,
I'll go 30. Well, I'll go 36.
you got a number, Bob, or you don't care?
Uh,
Either way is fine.
how many players are in the field?
Like
132. Oh no, 140.
64.
Phew.
I don't think Data Golf likes Spieth at all.
I mean, he's 44th in my model. 44th.
Okay.
okay.
That's not bad. I was somewhere in that 50 to 60 range. I probably should have said like 55. Data Golf just is biased against Spieth, I'm pretty sure.
Well, he's been quite poor.
I
If he starts
feel
playing
like
well, he'll shoot up those rankings, though.
every Spieth hater on Twitter loves to use Data Golf, but maybe those stats are just because Spieth makes them himself. So
Yeah, I mean, Spieth is a
I've got
player that's lost 6 of 7 putting.
I've got my final play. And his name
So
is Kashmir Keith.
we're taking out
Um,
Nope.
Henley.
yeah, Henley
Okay.
will not be getting the Dan Camp's pick because
This
I
is
forgot that I really wanted to play Berger the next chance I got. So Højgaard, Berger, and Mitchell. Mitchell's been quiet and he is due for a thrust.
this is
He
off
likes
topic.
Florida. Likes,
He does. No Cashmere in Florida, but
it's
he
true.
has played well there.
I did not realize that Thomas was even in the TGL,
You
I mean,
but
didn't
he's
you didn't
he's not
realize
a
JT?
he doesn't sell
Thomas
tickets.
versus Thomas versus Thomas versus Schlehuber tonight is unbelievable.
I'm not surprised. How'd you not know Thomas was in?
I don't
He's
know.
like he chipped in last week and
He's just
He
not
doesn't
a
draw
very big
views.
name. He's not a very big.
that's fair. He does not move the needle one bit.
But anywho.
Yeah.
All right,
This was fun.
it was fun,
A
unexpected.
surprise
I
podcast.
know,
Yeah,
man.
surprise.
It's still crazy, but I love it.
Shout
I'm here
out
for it.
to the PGA Tour communication staff, Mr. Spieth not having a pre-tournament interview this week, despite being it
Yeah,
a
that's
complete
crazy.
shocker that he's in the field. We will never know why he chose to play this week. Wonderful stuff.
Yeah. No,
It's
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 well
it's
said.
always it's
I think
always good
it's
from the media men on tour.
I also just had a laugh at the fact that the field came out and then they had to quote tweet it to say, "Oh yeah, Jordan Spieth's in the field."
I just think it's funny that like someone was in the field and booted because he
Well, Phillips,
left the deadline.
Mr. Sunday read himself, I believe,
Well, he's
right?
in, but still, it's
Yeah,
just
he's
fun.
in. He's
It's
in
like
now. Yeah, there's gonna be one guy this week that
there's gonna be one guy who gets left
the
out
last
because he
alternate
was
would have been
hot
in,
shot to
and
meet the too hot shot to meet the deadline. But good thing he did because it's gonna be a good week. I'm looking very forward to it. He's got to get early late, you'd think, because there's really no one else who people will watch Friday afternoon. But um,
Yeah, I
in
mean,
this week,
there's
That's well
no,
said.
it's got to be early late, which would be
Because
great for me.
you
If it's
gotta
late
get him out.
early, if it's late early, then they know something about the draw and feel the need to shaft the Spieth camp.
the Spieth is the
Yes,
only draw in this field. I mean, you look
he
at the
really is.
names.
That's the problem with the Honda is it's not that the Honda field is that bad usually. It's just there's never a name. Like even the Amex has like had
It's
Rom play
yeah,
every year.
Scheffler usually goes.
Yeah.
it's
Like it's
a
not the
like
field, but
Rory's won this event before. Rory's played it quite a bit, but yeah, it's not a one that usually a lot of guys play every year, or at least big names.
Yeah.
yeah.
Rory's
But
played this event 10 times. It's just
probably before it got
He
changed,
hasn't
no?
been in a while though, I don't think.
he
Yeah,
played
I
it
don't think
last
he's
year.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't think he had played since the change, but
What did he
He
do last year?
T21.
Oh, I wonder why he's not here this year.
Is he
I
playing
guess
Valspar?
I don't think so. Rory
Okay.
usually,
He doesn't play a lot. Yeah, so he'll play API players. I know he's playing Valero, I believe. I
yeah,
think.
he likes to play before Augusta.
Yeah.
Now,
When's the last time Spieth hasn't played before Augusta?
I think he did it um
I'm
in
trying to see like
20.
how likely it is that Valero could get skipped this year.
I think he didn't play. No, that's not true. I was gonna say 23, but that's not
He didn't play
accurate.
it in 23.
Really?
Nope.
Oh, because 22 he flushed it and made literally zero putts.
I'm
It
just
was one of the
saying
worst putting weeks ever. And then he MC'd and then won Heritage.
23 Spieth didn't play Valero and T4 at the Masters. So just
Yeah,
saying.
23 Spieth could have had 3 wins by then too. Um,
Yeah, but
that
yeah,
was
I that tells me that Valero is definitely no guarantee this year. But would he skip 2 weeks before the Masters if he played a ton
well,
in Florida?
that's what I'm saying. It might be
I I don't
that
see Spieth to be a guy that
the
skips.
no the no Valspar Houston no Valero is still lurking. It's still in the hunt. It has not been eliminated
There's no way.
from
No.
contention yet.
The
You
thing is,
can't
Bob,
rule it out.
if he doesn't play Houston and Valero, you can't be upset when he plays poorly at Valero. You're going to be excited for the Masters because you don't know what to expect because he didn't play the week prior.
Yes, but then he tees off on number 13 and he's 2 over on Thursday morning, and we're just fighting a very uphill battle as Scheffler's 3 under 3.
Can't I can't deny that. But
There needs to be reps before Augusta and 10 days before,
Spieth,
whether that's
I'll say
Houston
this. Spieth
or
not skipping both Texas events. He's just not going to do it.
I think
arguing.
it's unlikely.
That's what I'm saying. I think
But
I
has he done it
really
before? Has he skipped 2 weeks going into the Masters?
I feel probably not.
Maybe back when he was good.
Because didn't Houston, what used to be before Valero? It used to be
Houston used to be the week before the
but Houston
Masters.
used to be before, right? So, and he
It
played
used to be
Houston,
after Valero. It used to go Valero,
and
Houston, Masters.
yeah. So,
He
look,
was really good in 2015.
I mean, Houston's there, man. Like it could still be. I hate
2015, fucking,
Valspar could just get booted. It could.
it
I hate
could.
to say it,
It could.
but we'll see. Hopefully, not. Playing four would be sick if he played well and was healthy. Like that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
upon review, I don't think he's ever skipped 2 weeks before the Masters. So he's playing one of the Texas events, probably Valero.
I will forfeit the go get that triple double. He skips those three.
Yeah, he's not going to. So
Let's
it'll be
hope not.
interesting if he plays Valspar or not. But he's playing. If he gets an API, it becomes interesting. Because if he's
I
not an
think
API, he's
Valspar
definitely playing
sits
Valspar.
just below 60% currently.
That's a fair line, Bob. Fair line.
That's
About
a
what?
great line, actually.
58% minus 118.
A little bit of juice.
Minus
A little bit of juice.
128, I'd argue, actually. Minus 120.
Even
You
more
have to lay
juice.
some juice.
So what's it on no that he doesn't play?
No, I'll give you a fair
It's gotta be plus money. It's got
plus
Gotta be.
one. Yeah, plus 102. Yeah, plus 102.
Come on with that line.
I think
Going to a
that's
different
all.
no
No,
value being
that would
offered.
be
going to a
that would
different
be a little unfair.
going to
Yes.
a different book.
What would that be? 18? Yeah, plus 108 is what it would be. So
Might use a
That's
boost on that one.
What?
Profit
So I
boost, baby.
might have to use my boost on that one to get it up a little bit, but we'll see.
Fair enough.
It's not that I don't want him to play Valspar, but I think Houston would be fun, and I just want to be right about it. So that's
He's
what I'm
not
gonna
playing
root for.
Houston. We've settled that. I want him to play Houston. It's not happening.
Houston not playing is probably what, minus 230.
Oh,
More than
no.
that.
Minus 450.
Okay, so
More, maybe.
what it is I'm gonna parlay that he doesn't play Valspar and plays Houston.
The book will deny that because one affects the other.
Well, I will go to a different book then. I'll just keep finding. You never know
Tough
who's
and
got.
fair. Tough and fair.
Yeah, keep
All
it
right.
moving. But yeah, I'm out of good thoughts.
I'm gonna go root against Justin Thomas for the next 2 hours.
It's a
Enjoy,
fun
Bob.
evening sometimes, man.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it's fair.
Yes.
That's kind of the motto of a lot of things, man. Tough, but
Kind of
fair.
the motto of our podcast. Always tough, always
Yeah,
fair.
you could look at it that way.
Yeah.
That's how we run it. Yeah. But
I was telling, this is my last thought before you have to go. I was listening to a seminar in class and someone was saying, how does someone in the media, which of course we're very respected members of the golf media, but
absolutely.
how does someone in the media, who's covering a specific person, or the example is team, but in our case, person, we're following a team, with Greller as the captain. But how do you criticize them while not getting angry? And the answer from the respected reporter was, it is on the team slash player to understand that it is their job to criticize. I thought that was very tough and very fair.
It's the correct answer.
It's,
It's well
but
said.
that is all I have tonight, gentlemen.
We leave the viewers with those wonderful words of wisdom.
Yes. And as always, go blue.
Take care.
But no.
Peace.